Hello YouTube, it's Jared again with another video on the Dawn of War Onslaught board game. I did a previous video where I did an unboxing of the game, and while unboxing and looking over the rules, it became very obvious to me that you could take the orc tokens and potentially use models instead. And so as I was looking at the game, I wondered what would it take to upgrade the orc tokens to models, and is that a good idea or not? And so I want to present my ideas on how you could do that, how you could make this board game a little bit more premium and use it as an excuse to start an orc army. So here is what I found. Um, Looking at the board game here, if you were not familiar with it, if the first wave hit target, it sold out immediately. Barnes and Noble is supposed to get the board game soon, but there isn't a release date, and Target should restock. So while it's sold out right away, I do expect that both Target and Barnes and Noble will have this game. This is a $50 board game, and what makes it special is that the 9 Space Marines in this box normally retail for $160, and the whole board game is 50 bucks. And so great savings on the Space Marines. If you see it, it's worth buying. The minis are more than worth the price, and you get a pretty cool board game. As I'm reading over the rules, I haven't got to play it yet, but there's 3 scenarios and a horde mode. A lot of care and details into this thing. Generally, the board games tend to be pretty good. Some of the board games tend to be more models with an afterthought on the rules, but looking at this game, it looks really well designed. So I'm expecting it's probably going to be pretty fun, similar to something like Fire Team, where there's a decent amount of replayability. So it looks fun. It's got a nice co-op mode. It's got horde mode and 3 different armies to play against. So that's pretty cool. So what are the upgrade options? Well, you get or 2 sets of tokens, and one of them is reversible. So 3 different sets of tokens, though 2 of these are the same set, just flipped over. You can kind of tell the one with the boss on it, that is the same back and front. And then the other set of tokens is separate. And so there are 3 different warbands. They're labeled as alpha, beta, and gamma. And they each have their own rules, their own scenarios, and then there are 3 boss tokens, and then during the game you're going to draw a random boss, and that's the boss that you fight. So 3 boss options, 3 different armies to fight, lots of customability, and I like that in a board game, and I definitely like that in this board game. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a great feature. I'm glad that it's not just run one scenario, enjoy your models, and we're done making the board game, but they really put some replayability in this game. So on that sense, it's pretty cool. But looking at it, that's a lot of orc models. And if you really want to be able to play all 3 scenarios and all 3 bosses, that is a lot of models to potentially get. And so I made a list of every single model you'd need. Orc Boys shows up in 2 of the sets of lists, so we can combine those 2 for sure. But going at face value of the names of the units, 76 models are needed, and if you were to punch those 76 models into Warhammer.com, put them all in a cart, and get ready to hit buy, you're looking at over 700, maybe $750 just to buy all this stuff. The price fluctuates because a lot of these models have different price points. So there are multiple war bosses. There's 2 different boxes of boys you could pick between. So there's no set price on what you get. But even if you choose the cheapest war boss and the cheaper box of boys, you're still looking at well over $700 to upgrade a $50 board game. And obviously, do not do that. That is a terrible idea. Minimum, you might as well get a friendly local game store discount to save a couple of bucks. But even then, I think we can get that 700 price point down to less than half. And I have a couple of ideas on how to do that. So I dug into it with the goal of, can I get this from a crazy price to a viable starting orc army that could be expanded for 40K, but also allow you to play this board game at the premium level. So that's the goal here. That's what we're working towards. So the first big observation, there are no weapon profiles on the card. If you can see here, the boy is just a boy. It doesn't specify his weapon. He has a melee profile, range profile, but it doesn't say special weapons. It doesn't specify anything else. The 3 war bosses, melee profile, range profile. an ability that's themed orc, but it says brutish strength. It says wah. It doesn't say, this weapon and this item on this model. It's very, very model agnostic, which is really interesting to me. So this game, despite having the theming of orcs, is still fairly model agnostic. Realistically, you could grab a couple of cool hero models to be your bosses. You could grab some infantry, some elite infantry, and just proxy everything with any army you wanted. But let's keep it orcs. I love orcs. You love orcs. Everyone loves orcs. Orcs are awesome. How do you make a orc army that fits the profiles, but's not going to run you $700 for a lot of default miniatures? There's a couple other problems we run into as we dig into this. You'll notice if you look at these model counts, the model counts are wrong. So boys don't come in boxes of 12. Knobs don't come in boxes of 8. Gretchen don't come in boxes of 15. All of the model counts are wrong. And then Ludas and Burners at 9 and 8, and Mechs at 8. Woof, those are rough numbers. This doesn't match any starter boxes. Another tricky problem here is we can't use Hachette Magazine to save some money because Hachette Magazine is sold out in the UK for orcs and boys and war bosses, and it's not coming to the US until next year. And so it's going to be months before the US gets it, and it's already come and gone for the UK. So no chance of saving there. I was looking at that, trying to use that to get the price down, because if you can drop $14 instead of $34 to get some of these things, that would have saved some money, but that's not really viable right now. Another weird one on here is the Weird Boy. Weird Boy is a resin model. You can see here he's a very old model. He's probably going to get replaced soon. You might not want to buy a Weird Boy if you don't like resin models, you don't like really old models, and you're hoping that next year a new Weird Boy model is coming out. So can't really recommend you buying a resin Weird Boy. Also, Commandos are on the list, and they're not listed on Games Workshop's website anymore. They seem to be kind of pulled out. That was a Kill Team model. Ironically, one of the very first models I ever bought, and the only 40K orcs I own. Most of my orcs are Age of Sigmar. But Commandos was a great kit, but it's hard to find now and going up in price because now you have to go secondary market to find it. And functionally in the game, commando, they just mean a more elite boy or a knob. So you might as well just use the knobs since those are in separate armies anyways. There's no reason to go out and try to track down the commandos because again, no weapon profile, and it's basically just exactly the same as the knobs, and you're not going to run knobs and commandos in this. So we can start saving money that way. So let's look at saving money. Proxy models are a given. We've got resin, we've got weird duplications, and we've got how to print stuff. So there's no reason not to proxy. And if we're going to do this, let's use it as a way to start an orc army. Let's not just buy 4 boxes of 10 boys. Let's not get too many of the same model. Let's get some variety. Let's get some stuff that we actually want. And so instead of just getting 40 boys, let's get some variety. Let's have some fun with this. Another thought is realistically, since you can only play one boss and one warband to play the game, you can get one boss and one warband, upgrade the game, and then you are good to go. And then you can just add to the collection. And so even whatever final number we get to, one war boss, one warband, you're good. That gets you to be playing a game elite. So the boss options, again, do not reflect a specific war boss. Get the boss that's your favorite. Find your favorite mini. You want to throw in a pain boy instead of a weird boy. You want to get the big weapon option or whichever boss is your boss. Get the one you like, and then maybe buy a second one too. Maybe buy a third one. That's up to you. But get what you like. Again, the rules do not really specify. It's a melee profile, it's a range profile, and then there's nothing past that. So get what you like. This is a great time to just excuse to get a cool orc. If you only get one orc, I would say get a boss orc, use that instead of the boss token, and then even if you just play with all the other tokens, this is the first upgrade you get. Get yourself a cool orc boss that you like, run him, and then whatever rules you draw, shuffle the rules, draw one of them. Okay, that's his rules for this game, and use him for all 3 bosses because all 3 bosses are basically the same thing. So that's the first thing we can do. Then looking at the Alpha Warband, this is the one they recommend you start with. It needs 12 boys, 8 knobs, and 5 mega knobs. but that's 2 boxes of each for the correct models. We're looking at $288 USD, and that's with FLG discount. So that's a bad deal. That's not a great deal right there. And again, that's a lot of models to paint just to get one board game on the table. $50 board game, 288, and that's not even what we need to spend another $40 to get that boss. So that's not a deal yet. So how do we turn this into a good deal? First off, I'd say do get 2 boxes of boys, get a box of knobs, let the boys be boys, but then use the special weapons guys, use the leader of the boys. I believe they have a rocket launcher guy, they have a guy with a heavy cannon. Use those guys as the elite version up. So use those as the knob, and then instead of getting instead of using the knobs as knobs, use something else as the elite. So either get the knobs as mega knobs, or more fun, I'd say grab a box of flash kits. Flash kits are about the same price. That's a really fun kit. That gives you 5. So instead of buying 5 mega knobs, which are more expensive, buy 5 flash kits, because flash kits are an incredible kit. Who doesn't want to build those guys? And now you have something that's clearly the elite unit, something that's clearly the mid tier, and then something that's clearly the low tier. And so that will give you all the kits for around $134 instead of 288. And then it's a little bit less painting to do, and you have some really good variety. So I'd say 2 boxes of boys, and then a box of either knobs or a box of flash kits. Whatever you like, whatever you want to be part of the theming of your orc army, that gives you the right model count to get them on the table and actually get this played with models. And so you could do this plus a war boss for just over 150 bucks, which is a far cry from 700 and a far cry from 300. So that's already cut our price down significantly. So that's how I would do this one. Moving forward up to the next warband, that would be the beta warband. We need 15 Gretchen, 8 commandos, and 8 mechs. Again, the commandos are easy because that's literally just the boys box again. So that's easy. And then it says mech, but it doesn't specify which mech. The picture kind of looks like the individual mech hero, not the big, chunky, expensive mech armor, which I think it might be what it's trying to reference, because they're the elite unit. It's a small, medium, large, regular unit, stronger unit, elite unit. So the game itself doesn't tell you what to buy. It just kind of leaves it vague. So I would say for this one, buy the 2 boxes of Gretchen. Gretchen are $22. They're really cheap. They're really cute, really classic. Yeah, why not get them? And then you can use them for objective control in 40K. I believe is what they're used for. Um, Not an orc player. You'll have to check an orc channel for that. But I'd start there, see what happens, and get 2 boxes of Gretchen, and then use those same 2 boxes of boys that you bought for Alpha, and there you go. Now you have your commandos and your elites. And so this lets you spend 44 bucks to get the Gretchen, and then use everything you bought for Alpha for Beta. So it's only $44, so now you have 2 of the 3 warbands, and you only spent 44 more dollars. So that saves you quite a bit of money. Don't go buying commandos. Don't go out and buy super expensive mechs. Again, you could probably use flash kits, buy maybe a second box of flash kits, or use something from the next one, or use the elite boys. That would be another option. So you could do that. And the other thing too, you'll notice is the Gretchen come with a runt herder. That's not used, and so you could use him as one of your elite guys if you wanted. So mix and match it. Grab a guy, throw him on the board. Keep in mind, as you're adding models to the board, you don't add all of them. You only add a couple at a time. And so as models die, put the models back on the board or rotate them around. And so I would say for beta, you're using alpha plus 2 boxes of Gretchen for 44 bucks, and you're sitting golden. This brings us to Gamma. So that last warband. This one's cool. It's 12 boys again. So we've already got that, checked it off. But you need 8 Burnas and 9 Ludas. Got the boys already. Burnas and Ludas. That's the same kit. Burnas and Ludas are the same kit with weapon options. The kit comes with 4 of each plus a special custom gun for the leader of the squad. And so he's model agnostic either way. And so if you buy, you would need 8 and 9 is going to give you 17 models that you need here, and they're sold in boxes of 5. So do you really want to buy 4 kits to get everything? Or what you do is you buy 2 or 3 kits. Maybe you buy 3 kits for 120 because the kits are only 40 bucks. It's not an expensive kit. It's an older kit. It's a great kit. Five models that are all really elite, really cool. Buy 3 boxes for about 120. That gets you 15 models. And then for those last 2, yeah, 17. It's 17 models. I said that wrong. For those last 2 models, pull in a big shooter, a rocket launcher from the boys box, and then you're done. And so you could get away with maybe 2 boxes, but I'd say 3 boxes just because it's such a fun elite model. And then if that's something you want to put in an orc army, now you have flamethrowers or ludas to really give you those heavier hitters. You put in the flash kits, and then now you've really kind of rounded it out. And so use a couple of those kits, and now you've got everything you need. And not to mention, this kit comes with both sets of weapons, and so now you have a pile of extra bits. And maybe you could kit bash something. Maybe you start adding some more pieces onto something else. I've heard orcs are amazing for kit bashing. I love to do kit bashing. When I build my orc army next year with the Hachette magazine, I'm looking forward to kit bashing some stuff. So something like this would be really fun to buy just to even have the kit bashing options, the extra head options, the extra weapon options. So lots of good stuff there. So final tally of what models you need. What's the minimum? Definitely need at least 1 boss. Budget around 45 bucks for that. 2 boxes of boys are going to run you around 100 bucks. Knobs or flash kits both run around 50ish, 54 bucks. 2 boxes of Gretchen about 45 bucks. 3 boxes of Ludas or Burnas for 110 if you want to get that final upgrade. So that gives you all 3 armies with 1 boss for 354 bucks. So we were able to take that $700 and chop it in half. And so that gives us everything, full armies. You can see all the models that you'd get. And that's a pretty good paint project to get for 354 bucks. And again, you could always add another boss. You can always add another box of minis, but this gives you a good baseline starting orc infantry army. And then if you want to take this to 40K, you buy some trucks, you buy your Boombock Daka Snaz wagon. There's one of those coming in the magazine. I'm excited to get. You buy whatever else you want to. Go watch a orc channel and get some advice on how to build up the army. But this gives you a really good infantry base. And now you drop a starter box on to get some of the elite stuff. You drop a couple other things, and you've got an orc army that just so happens to also let you play the board game in a premium way. So this is a good way to not spend too much money on the infantry side of your army, but then also have some expansion options and really kind of let you play more. So some final thoughts on this. Obviously, we're upgrading a $50 board game. It's a bonus to collecting orcs. If you want to build an orc army, this is a great kind of way to get a little bit of extra playtime out of your models. I would never spend even 250 bucks or 100 bucks to upgrade a $50 board game. That's a little bit silly. I've got a couple of board games where I bought expansions back when I was big in board games before I ran out of room, but still, you don't need to do this. Play with the tokens, have a lot of fun, make sure you like the board game, and then maybe go out and buy a boss. Maybe go out and buy a couple boxes of boys just to upgrade a few of the tokens, and then go from there. And maybe add a box of Ludas, maybe add the flash kits, maybe add 2 boxes of Gretchen. Build up slowly. Don't go out and buy everything. Buy and paint and play, buy and paint and play. That's the best way to do this kind of thing. And the other thing too is keep in mind orcs tend to show up on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Discord, trade groups. Sometimes you can find somebody who's selling a lot of 50 to 100 orc boys, and you could take something like that and kit bash it and put it in this thing. And if you get a bunch of old orc models and Gretchen from a kit that's far in the past, you might be able to upgrade this and have a premium version of the game real quick. And hopefully that list of models is a great target to help you compare and see if your existing collection or the eBay lot you bought is the thing to kind of jumpstart so that you can play the board game and have all the minis, take it and make everybody at the local board game group a little bit jealous of how cool your orcs are next to all your cool space marines. So that's just a hopefully a fun idea, some fun food for thought. But one thing else to consider, there's a lot of rumors going around right now that next year is going to be a new edition and that it might be the Orc edition. And so there's a good chance that some of the cheaper boys boxes, some of these older models will be going away and getting replaced with newer sculpts. And so if you want to wait for the newer sculpts, maybe don't upgrade this board game right now. Maybe wait and see what's going on next year. But if you're trying to do it on a budget, grabbing some of these older, cheaper kits, grabbing that older box of boys might also be the way to go to kind of stock up and get it before it becomes the big hot thing. Because what happens is when an army is the new launch box, it tends to sell out. I know every Skaven kit was sold out for months after Skaven Tide. When the last Space Marine or the last 40K launch happened, Tyranids were sold out, and the Space Marines sold out right after the video game drop, and everybody was looking for Lieutenant Titus. And so, oftentimes, when a model line suddenly gets really popular, it tends to sell out for a while. So maybe it's a good idea to buy the Orks now, because if you wait till next year, they're all going to be sold out. But you'd also wait and see. Maybe a lot of the models are actually going to be in the launch box. So, especially seeing stuff like the Weird Boy on the list, who knows? Maybe the Orks that are being listed are going to be the Orks in the starter box, and this was a little secret hint from GW. But I'm putting on the tinfoil at that point, and I have no idea or no knowledge that that's true, but it is something for thought. So, do I think you should upgrade the board game? Only if you want to collect orcs. If you're not planning on making an orc army, don't upgrade the board game. Don't spend $300 on a $50 board game. But if you want to collect orcs, if you've already collected orcs and you only need one or two more kits, absolutely upgrade this. It should be a lot of fun. It's a great little project, and I think it's going to be a great time. And I haven't played the board game yet, but after reading the rules, it looks like it's a pretty fun game. It's a pretty Warhammer light, objective centric game, and you get to play with your friends and be on the same team, and that's always nice. I love a good co-op board game. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Hopefully this gives you some great ideas going forward and some thoughts on what you can do with the Dawn of War board game. So thank you for watching. I hope this video has been super helpful. If you haven't seen my unboxing video, here it is, linked below. And go ahead and subscribe. I love doing big army challenges, and next year will be my orc challenge, I hope. So thank you so much for watching.